Chiefs restructure Patrick Mahomes' contract and cut Mike Danna to alleviate some cap space. Future stars are out in Houston last weekend for the UFC as Sean Strickland finally gives us the entertaining fight that we were looking for. And baseball is back. All that and more right here on a Papa Show Knows podcast. All right, so let's get right into it. In a key financial maneuver, the Chiefs restructured Mahomes' contract, converting $54.45 million of his 2026 base salary and roster bonus into signing bonus proration. That adjustment lowered Mahomes' 2026 cap hit from $78.2 million to $34.65 million and created approximately $43.56 million in cap space. A vital first step in retooling the roster. This is coming straight from an Athlon Sports article. Then on to Monday, Kansas City took another step towards compliance by releasing defensive end Mike Danna, a veteran pass rusher who had been under contract through 2026. The move is expected to save the Chiefs about $8.9 million in cap space, giving general manager Brett Veach additional breathing room as the team continues to shape its offseason strategy. And we saw the post that the Chiefs made on across all social media thanking Mike Danna, who has been a key role player in the defensive end rotation for the Kansas City Chiefs over the last few years, since 2020 when they drafted him. So all of these steps are obviously just to open up the cap, and we'll see what exactly that brings for the Chiefs. I'm going to look up what their overall cap is at the moment. But, I mean, I think things that we expected. I'm surprised that Jawaan Taylor wasn't first, if we're being honest. I think you've got Jalen Moore already, ready to take over the right tackle position. I think that's the main reason why he was playing right tackle last year while Josh Simmons was out and Jawaan Taylor was also out. They didn't move Moore over to the left side, and I think that's why. That they were wanting to get him ready for taking over that right tackle spot. Just my personal assessment. That puts the Chiefs no longer dead last in cap space. This now puts the Chiefs ahead of the Cowboys, Vikings, Jaguars, Lions, Saints, Texans, Bears, and Bills in getting under that salary cap. They are just a little over $3 million now over the cap limit at $3.295, basically $3.3 million. Only the Packers are under them and also over the cap. That makes sense. Then you get the Dolphins, who have $3 million in cap space after releasing Tyreek Hill, of course. Like I said, I'm surprised that Danna didn't come after Jawaan Taylor. Jawaan Taylor would be a savings of $20 million. That would put you 17 over, or 17 under, I guess the other way around. But again, surprised about that. But to kind of transition to the Dolphins and what's been going on with them, as me and EDJ talked throughout the season at the possibility of before the deadline, Tyreek Hill coming back to Kansas City. And now we have Tyreek Hill as a free agent who has been in Kansas City this week. He posted on, I think, Snapchat, where I saw the picture come from. But it's been making the rounds, of course, as plenty of people in Kansas City talking about the fact that Tyreek Hill is in KC. What are the odds that he comes back? I think that it's a very viable possibility, and one that I still have the same stance that I had during the season when me and EDJ talked about it, is if the money's right, which I know that wasn't part of it, but if what they were paying to the Dolphins was right, I think the same thing here. If the money's right, I think that you go take a swing at bringing Tyreek Hill back if you don't have to overpay. I mean, what is the market value for Tyreek Hill at the moment is a great question. He's coming off of a significant knee injury and being released. He was great in Miami. I mean, he was great for a time. I don't know if the whole way through. Dolphins fans, if you're out there, you can let me know what you guys thought about the Tyreek Hill experience over the last few years. So it looks like Tyreek Hill was just over a $27.5 million cap hit last year for the Miami Dolphins. And so the best kind of comparison, I think, that I would have is maybe a Devontae Adams of kind of looking where they're at. I'm going to have to look at Tyreek Hill's age again, because right now Devontae Adams 34 years old, and he's going to be a $28 million cap hit for the Rams in 2026. $12 million last year. So not terrible last year, but then you look at like Hollywood Brown for the Chiefs this last year, a $7 million cap hit. So I don't know if you can talk Tyreek Hill down to maybe like a sub $10 million salary. I mean, like I said, the money's got to be right. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at the same time, I don't think you want to see Tyreek Hill go to a Buffalo per se, or another AFC team that's competing. Denver would be another one, which I think that now that they're out of Russell Wilson, maybe they could make a run at something like that. But I've seen plenty of posts from plenty of different teams, fandoms of, kind of saying, hey, pursue Tyreek Hill. And I don't think it's a bad option, just depending on, what you can get, or, what the money looks like. $27.5 million last year. I don't think that he's going to get anything near that, but some type of structure contract. If Davante Adams is going to be a $28 million hit this season for the Rams, if they're going to go through with that and pay him, I mean, I haven't seen anything about them releasing Davante Adams yet, but they're also under the cap, so I don't think they need to worry about that at the moment until you get to the offseason, kind of figure out what you're doing. But Tyreek Hill at 31, so 3 years younger than Davante Adams. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of what a Tyreek Hill contract would look like. And, I mean, it just depends on, how he's feeling about the money, I guess, really. I mean, because when you look at what it came down to, why he got traded to Miami in the first place, was not over a lot of money. And that brings me to kind of two conclusions, which I guess are the only two conclusions, but is the fact that you went and got paid. Do you want to come back to Kansas City and try to run, back the good times with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback and going deep into the playoffs and going to the Super Bowl? Or would you rather make more money? I mean, there's two schools of thought on that. I mean, you could definitely go for the money. You could go for, trying to win more. I mean, Tyreek Hill's already got a Super Bowl, of course, that first Super Bowl that the Chiefs won of the Mahomes era. So, I don't know. How important is that to him at this point in his life and in his career is really what it's going to come down to. So, I think just really some human factors, because the Chiefs are obviously going to try to get, anybody that's coming in as cheap as they can. One, because they've dispersed quite a bit of money over the Nick Boltons, Creed Humphreys, Trey Smiths. You got a lot locked up in Chris Jones, obviously. You're able to move around with Patrick Mahomes a little bit more. So I think it'll be interesting, and really what comes out of 2026 in the coaching. Because you got Eric Bieniemy now coming in. You've got O'Shea coming in as the wide receivers coach, which are two huge changes. I mean, I don't know what the better way to say it is, but I mean, just absolutely huge changes for this offense that I think is going to turn it around overnight. And I've been going back and watching 2022 film just to kind of get a feel of what this offense was with Bieniemy the first go around, and it's just, I don't know, the little bit that I've watched, I feel like it's just so much better. It just feels like so repetitive now, and everything is the same. And I know that's a very, fifth grade take of me, just not getting too deep into the analysis of it, but, it's very predictable. And is that because, I think it's because the offense has transitioned more into a predictable format, but I think that it's also, how much can we save for the playoffs? I mean, I've been saying this for a couple of years now, because even the 15-2 season that they had 2 years ago, went to the Super Bowl against the Eagles, hindsight, looking at that was never going to work. And not only the fact that you're saving your best stuff for the playoffs, but just the inability to change in that moment. Joe Tooney at left tackle was such a dumb move, hindsight, going into that Super Bowl against the Eagles. Anyways, I feel like I'm kind of straying a little far away from the point that I'm making of, 2026 looks right now to me very, very positive. I get that we're coming off of a 6-11 year where we saw the Chiefs just have minimal success, really. And the offense is the big part of that, I think. I think that's the kicker. The defense was able to keep them in games. And it looked similar, which they were actually better in 2025 than they were in 2024. So I do think that there's a lot of positives you can pick up from 2025, knowing, being on the other side of the changes. EB is back, and we just saw Ben Johnson come out and say what a tremendous, force in the locker room that Eric Bieniemy was. And I think that shows with just watching the 2022 film, and like I said, not even getting that far into it, but just going through it, that it just looks so much different. The team looks so much different. I feel like more precise, and whereas like it feels like the Chiefs have gotten to the point where it just feels like the regular season is just going through the motions and getting to the postseason. Well, you got to get to the postseason first. So I think to find that balance again, bringing Eric Bieniemy back in and bringing in Ed O'Shea, who hopefully will turn this, receiving core around, because you've got a guy in Rashee Rice that I think that, I did a film breakdown on him going into 2025 thinking this guy could break out into being a top 10 wide receiver in the league. Do I feel like that after 2025? Well, no, not at all. And there's other reasons for that too, other than just the play on the field. Worthy. Xavier Worthy was pretty bad his rookie year. I mean, if we're being honest. And a lot of little things of just little bit of like football IQ, where not knowing where you are on the field. I mean, I feel like 2 or 3 times we saw Xavier Worthy wide open catch a ball, but his feet were out of bounds. And that goes back to the coaching. And I just think that 2026 is going to, at least right now, until we have that hindsight on the other side, because hindsight is 2020, but I do think that the Chiefs have an opportunity to really improve in the next year. Obviously, that's going to be contingent on Patrick Mahomes and his knee injury. When is he going to be back? What is the plan for the offseason? Do they go out and get a quarterback, that can be at that replacement level? Is it, well, I can't even say is it Minshew, because Minshew's dealing with the same thing, a torn ACL. So what do you do? Do you go with one of these practice squad guys for – who knows? I mean, best case scenario, I've heard Mahomes could be back week 1. Worst case scenario, maybe 6 to 8. Week 6 to 8, Patrick Mahomes comes back. That gives you 6 to 8 games without a quarterback. And how sustainable is that? Do you believe in Shane Buechele that could maybe give the Chiefs a 3-3 to 4-4 start to let Patrick work with when he comes back, or Ola Dukin? I don't know if I believe in either one of those guys that they could bring the Chiefs to that conclusion, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. What do you guys think, the thoughts of Tyreek Hill coming back to Kansas City? What is going to be the biggest differences in Kansas City and in that locker room in 2026 with this new coaching staff? Not new coaching staff, but, really on the offensive side of the ball, a lot of new coaches going in between Bieniemy, O'Shea, just the turnover, Nagy's out. I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think. And should Tyreek Hill come back? Jawaan Taylor, is he getting cut? What's your predictions for the Chiefs offseason, I guess, is really what I'm getting at and drawing out and rambling now. So with that, we are going to move on and turn our attention to the UFC from this last Saturday night. If you are enjoying the podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button for me. Follow along on whatever platform that you get your podcast, and hit that like button for me as well. So let's get into UFC Fight Night over the weekend. It was at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez was the headliner, and we got a pretty good fight out of the headline fight between Strickland and Hernandez. Sean Strickland gets the dub, 3rd round TKO. And like I said, pretty good fight all around. Hernandez, there was just obvious separation of skills in there. And, I think that maybe skills is the wrong word, but Anthony Hernandez definitely could not deal with, the weird things that Sean Strickland does. Sometimes in fighting, There are anomalies that I feel like we all collectively just don't quite understand, don't know why it works, and Sean Strickland is one of those anomalies in my opinion. And for the simple fact that I feel like it's not that how am I trying to say this? He's good. He's not great. I think he's a very good fighter. He's got the right mentality to fight, which keeps him in there. He's got the heart. He's got the grit. He's got the determination. The never say die attitude that you need to go in and be a fighter, especially in tough fights like this. And I don't know if the skill is all the way there. And that is not to take away from Sean Strickland, but sometimes you find these awkward, quirky ways to get around conventional type of things, if that makes sense. And, I'm talking about it looks like he's out there playing in a marching band, going, marching, picking his legs up, the teeps and stuff, but it works for Sean Strickland. So, not to disparage the guy and say that, well, this dude's not skilled, just it's an awkward fighting style that you have to figure out, and then figure out how to employ your own skill around, the awkward sets of skills that Sean Strickland possesses. Keith Jardine is another guy that, I would think in that kind of light, where it's just he had that weird motion, weird movement, weird timing. Everything's off when you go to fight him. Then you got to figure that out to then get to your game plan, and it just puts in that extra buffer of trying to figure a guy out. So it works very well for Sean Strickland, and he's had, some great success. I mean, hell, he's a former champion. But, kind of what I'm getting at is the fact that every fight we hear, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a battle, and I'm going to, stand and bang till the end, and, it's an awkward point fighting strategy that Sean Strickland employs in reality. So, a lot of the talk that he does, it ends up giving us a fight on Saturday night. You know what I mean? And but we did not get that. Fluffy came to fight, and so did Sean Strickland. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, Sean Strickland did a good job in this fight. He avoided the takedown, which was obviously going to be, Hernandez's path to victory. He was able to mitigate that and outstrike Hernandez. Hernandez made enough mistakes that Sean Strickland was able to take over, get the finish. There was just moments that I just felt like little things here and there. I'd have to rewatch exactly, because during the finishing sequence, there was part of it where I didn't understand why Hernandez wasn't just, I mean, I get it. You're getting punched in the face. It's hard to, game plan. Everybody's got a game plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? The great Mike Tyson once said. So there's that. That's the elephant in the room, right? But I don't understand why you didn't try to tie up more. Why you didn't just go all out for a takedown, or, just keep striking back. There was moments I feel like he could, get in on his own strikes, and there's a skill gap there, right? And like I said, just to go back to, I'm not trying to disparage Sean Strickland saying he's not a talented fighter, just the awkwardness adds to that, but there was the skill gap at that point. He couldn't really make anything happen. Sean Strickland gets away with the TKO finish, and hats off to him. Which, does he get another title shot after that now? Hamza versus Sean Strickland. I think we're going to see more of the same that we saw against DDP more than likely, but maybe Sean Strickland fares better with the takedowns. We'll see. Co-main event of the evening, Uros Medic. What a knockout, dude. Knockout of the night, in my opinion. You did get a performance bonus for that fight, but that one came out of left field for me. I did not expect that. I thought, this is a good opportunity for Jeff Neal to, keep himself afloat in the top 15, maybe flirt back with the top 10 of things at 170 pounds. That was not the case. Medic announced himself on Saturday night with a wonderful knockout performance. Another fight that I was very excited going into. Melquizael, I probably just messed that up. Melquizael, Costa, very exciting in his last fight, and even more exciting in this fight against Dan Ige. That is a tough dude that he finished on Saturday night, and really, I think, puts his stamp on 145 pounds that, hey, this kid is going to be something special. So I don't know. I'm all in on Costa after that spinning wheel kick that landed just perfectly straight to the face. Late in the first round, 4:56 of the very first round that the knockout comes. Costa is one to watch. Sergey Spivak, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This was a fight that D'Elia got the victory. Spivak fought a good fight, which, man, I feel like maybe I just judged it for Spivak, but I almost feel like I thought that he got the win. No, he did get the win. It's on the other side. Okay, I'm reading it wrong. I was about to say, I swear I remember Spivak getting the win, but he got a win. It was hard fought. He got through it, had his moments, some good wrestling, a little bit surprised with the stand-up, but it was, it was a heavyweight fight in 2026. It's really what I got to say about that one. Another rising star on the card that we got to see, Jacobe Smith. He improves on his undefeated record in quite the performance. It was a knockout 3 minutes and 1 second into the very first round. A little bit of controversy to this fight as Josiah Harrell was the opponent he was clearly out while Jacobe Smith was still punching him from side control. Two sides of that coin where it is not the fighter's responsibility, right? It is not the fighter's responsibility whatsoever to stop the fight or protect his opponent, his or her opponent. But, the man was clearly out. The last, 2 to 3 punches did not need to happen. And when you're getting a knockout like that on the ground, it's hard for the ref to get over there quick enough. The ref definitely could have done a better job. I'm not absolving the ref of any wrongdoing here because definitely could have done a better job on that. But a little bit of controversy after the fight. Either way, Jacobe Smith looked great. Josiah Harrell came in undefeated, so he loses for the first time, and we'll look to see him back at 170 pounds at some point because, just from I hadn't seen him fight yet, but just from some of the highlights they showed and, some of the performances that he's had so far in his pro career, looks like he could be, I don't know. From this fight, Jacobe Smith looks like the guy that if I were to predict one of them to contend for a belt at some point at 175 pounds, my money would be on Jacobe Smith. But maybe Josiah Harrell can be one of those guys that gets up into the top 10 or, something to that effect. Looks good. Either way, Saturday was not his night, though. Zach Reese, another guy that lost on Saturday night that also I think has tremendous upside in the UFC. I've watched his last couple of fights. Looks really good. Rough fight against Michel Pereira on Saturday night. Split decision loss, which I think could have gone either way. I think Zach Reese might have pulled it off, but the judges saw it Pereira's way. Very good back and forth fight, hard fight, showed a lot of grit, toughness, determination, all the great buzzwords that you want to use for heart, essentially. That, again, I said it earlier, that never say die attitude. Zach Reese very much showed it. So did Pereira in this fight, but Zach Reese definitely showed that in this fight. Another guy that I was pretty impressed with on Saturday night was Carlos Leal, which I don't know too much about, but he reminded me of John Lineker, just the way he struck. That was a really good fight between Chidi Njokuani and Carlos Leal to be the final prelim. Njokuani, I texted Ray and said, bro, what year is it? Chidi Njokuani is on a fight night card right now. I don't know. I didn't even realize he was still around in the UFC. So he had a pretty good fight. He stayed in there and battled. This was a terrific fight to get right into the main card, which I'm kind of surprised that neither one of them got any type of performance bonus on Saturday night. The other performance that I picked up on, because I was kind of in and out, busy through a lot of the prelims. I watched I think the main one that I watched was the Jordan Levitt versus Yadier Del Valle. That was a good fight. Not a great fight. There's some booing involved in this fight, but Jordan Levitt looked really good. Weird dude, but he can fight because he made his featherweight debut look really good, and maybe he can make some noise and work his way up. Of course, I think he's most known for losing to Paddy Pimblett. That was the whole, the whole Call of Duty thing. We'll say the Call of Duty celebration at the end of the fight, because Levitt's thing is like twerking after you win. So I don't know, weird dude. He can fight. 145 pounds. Maybe he can make some, headway to get up. Maybe fringe top 15 guy. I don't know. I'd have to see him again. I haven't really seen Levitt fight outside of the Patty fight and this fight on Saturday night, but he looked good either way. But all in all, I thought it was a really good night of fights. The main card delivered. We had some young stars on the card. We had a, 2026 heavyweight fight, which, there's plenty of videos on YouTube about the heavyweight division in 2026. There's some people pining for steroids to be introduced to the heavyweight division as a legal substance to see the heavyweight division of old, I guess. But I don't know. We need heavyweights. We need heavyweights in the UFC. That's for sure. Let me know what you guys thought. My critical takeaways from this is Sean Strickland probably gets a title shot. Erdos Medic, now on my radar at welterweight. Melquizael Costa is one to watch at 145 pounds. Jacobe Smith, definitely a guy to keep an eye on at 170 pounds. So, which Jacobe Smith, he was the dude that Greg Jackson gave out that scholarship right out of high school to, or what they called it, a scholarship. But either way, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below about the fights over the weekend. We do have an event coming up this Saturday night as well. Brandon Moreno returns to action as the UFC returns to Mexico. I think they're in Mexico City. Doesn't say, it just says Mexico on the website. But we got Brandon Moreno in action. He is fighting Kavanaugh. Marlon Vera, Chito, returns against David Martinez. King Green fights Daniel Zaluber, which I think will be an interesting fight. I do like Zaluber, so that'll be a good fight to keep an eye on. Edgar Cherez versus Felipe Burns. Emmanuel Rodriguez versus Kevin Boras. Santiago Luna versus Angel Pacheco. Ryan Gandra now into the prelims versus Jose Daniel Medina. Eileen Perez returns versus Macy Chiasson. That one will be a good fight. That's on the prelims too. That's kind of surprises me a little bit. Honestly, I'm surprised because I thought our boy Chiwiwis was on the card, but I guess he's not. I don't know if that fight got canceled, but I do think Rosas Jr. was scheduled to fight at some point. We'll look that up on this Mexico card. Raul Rosas Jr. UFC 326, that's the fight coming up that he's got. That'll be March 7th, so that's on that Holloway card for the BMF against Rob Font, that's going to be a good fight. That's going to be an exciting fight of just what comes from that. Rob Font, if he can, kind of keep the young buck grounded, and if Raul Rosas Jr. can make that splash to get up into the top 15 and, make a name for himself. Obviously, we've known about him for years. He's 18 years old, winning on the Contender Series, so exciting to see that trajectory and him continue to move up the ranks in the UFC. So let me know your guys' thoughts on the fights upcoming this Saturday night. What you guys thought about last Saturday night? It is nice to see that the UFC, we got back-to-back weekends without an Apex card. So shout out to the powers that be for that. Last but not least, baseball is finally back. Spring training started over this past weekend, and we got baseball. We got baseball in Florida and Arizona, and here in just about a month, we will have the World Baseball Classic. I'm very excited for. I'm very, very excited to cover it as well. So stay tuned to the channel, to the podcast. We'll be talking about the World Baseball Classic plenty, and I'm going to be covering baseball all year this year. I feel like the last 2 years I've kind of flirted with covering baseball, but 2026, I think I want to go all in and cover baseball over the offseason. It gives us a little bit more to talk about here on the channel. And, I had Bryce on quite a bit a couple of years ago. EDJ, big into the baseball game. So I'm excited that I've got some people to talk baseball with, and I need to apply my energy to baseball. And we got two different teams on different sides of the state in different places in their rebuild, whereas the Royals are looking like this is a team that should compete for the playoffs, I think. Whereas the Cardinals, it's everything got blown up this offseason, right? Brendan Donovan gone, Sonny Gray gone, Contreras gone, everybody, Arenado gone. You're sending everybody out. So the start of a new is kind of the life in St. Louis. John Mozeliak is gone as well, and Chaim Bloom has taken over, which, I don't know, maybe he works for the Red Sox, really, is kind of what I've thought. Seems like everybody has been sent to Boston over the offseason, but we'll see how it goes for 2026. I don't think anyone is expecting a great year from the Cardinals, but either way, let's talk about the good right now. J.J. Weatherholt over this past week, he's had an interesting first week of baseball, as he's only recorded 3 official at-bats, hasn't got a hit recorded, but has recorded 4 walks and a stolen base. So that on-base percentage at .571 over the first few days, a stolen base. I mean, hey. Yoel Pozo has looked good to start out. He's hitting .333. That equals to 2 for 3. We're at the very beginning stages of spring training, guys. Nelson Velasquez was a guy that I didn't realize came over the Cardinals this season. He is 3 for 7 right now, hitting .286. Home run wise, there's been a couple of home runs, just Nathan Church and Nolan Gorman so far. Nolan Gorman, he had a big home run. Let me get to my notes real quick, because I did take some notes. I had the Weatherholt one. Leahy looked good. I was able to catch most of the game on Saturday. Leahy looked good in an inning over the weekend. Let's kind of look at I'm on the MLB website, so I'm looking through the stats right now, but we got some weird stuff going on. I'm trying to filter certain things, and it just does not filter it whatsoever. So we'll see what we get here. Took me to StatCast. I just want to see the pitching stats. MLB.com is trying to tell me there are no pitching stats. Kyle Leahy, 1-0. He had that start the other day. He got a second inning in, it looks like. Or I guess both innings there. 4.50 ERA. He did pitch the first and the second on Saturday. Let's see if anybody else really stands out on this. Libby with a couple of innings. He got a start as well. Pitched 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, 4 strikeouts. Not bad there for Libby. Packy Naughton, a couple of innings of work with no runs allowed. Giving up just 1 hit. Palante got the start the other day. Had a decent first outing. Ryan Fernandez, probably the worst. 2/3 of an inning with a 54 ERA, giving up a total of 4 runs in his one outing. So not bad for the Cardinals so far. Again, not expecting anything too great for the Cardinals in 2026. So let's move it over to the other side and the Kansas City Royals, and we are going to talk with EDJ all season long. I'll get him back on the podcast soon. I know I took a little bit of time off, just kind of get a fresh little reset and maybe work on some things that I don't get a chance to work on as much while I'm, trying to make sure that this podcast gets out every Monday and Thursday. But for the Royals, Josh Rojas, a couple of home runs already and hitting .600. That's 3 for 5 with a double in there as well. He's walked once and struck out once. Jack Caglione, he is going to be a focal point this season, obviously coming up last year and, being solid, but, a young guy coming up in the bigs. He's hitting .375, equals 3 for 8 at the moment, and just 8 at-bats, excuse me. But that man hit a 460-foot home run the other day that, the Royals are in such a good position right now with Caglione. You've got, obviously, Bobby Witt, the superstar at shortstop. Pascantino as well, so you kind of got a first base and a DH. Me and EDJ, we had talked about that last year. Possibilities of maybe Vinny playing some outfield, maybe Jack playing some outfield. Not 100% sure where they'll go with that, but, at the DH spot, you've also got that. Pitching-wise, nothing great, nothing terrible so far. So many pitchers right now have only got about an inning to 2 innings. I mean, I don't think I've seen anyone over 2 innings of work yet. So TBD on the pitching side. I think good signs of Seth Lugo and Daniel Lynch both putting in scoreless innings. Lugo put in 2 scoreless innings. Daniel Lynch put in 1 inning of scoreless work. Noah Cameron, 2 innings of scoreless work. Michael Walker, 2 innings of scoreless work. Oh, excuse me. He gave up 1 run off 3 hits. Michael Walker. 3 walks, which is going to be a thing this time of year. That game that I watched on, it was Sunday, not Saturday, the Cardinals game. Cardinals-Astros that I was able to watch most of on Sunday. The 1 inning the Cardinals had, they got the win in the game, but it was just walk after walk after walk, it felt like, from Houston. And then later on in the game, I think it was the Hernandez inning where it only lasted 2/3. The same thing happened, a lot of walks. So baseball is back. World Baseball Classic is on the horizon. Let me know what you guys think, who your team is out there and who you're rooting for this year. What do you guys think about the Cardinals and the Royals, where they're at the moment, and the World Baseball Classic, who you got? I think that it's going to be another strong year for Japan. We'll see how the U.S. holds up in it, and I'm sure me and EDJ will talk at some point. Maybe we'll get Bryce back on the pod as well, but with that being said, your boy Papa Shiro is back. Sorry I kept y'all waiting. Like I said, I just took a couple of weeks to kind of reset, and usually this time of year I kind of try to before we really get into draft season. I've been kind of watching some things, one-on-ones from the Senior Bowl and things like that to kind of start getting acclimated with this draft class and figuring out, what looks good, what doesn't. So I'm going to have some different content coming up over the next, couple of months with the draft and the off season going around. Baseball hopefully will fill in some gaps for us, and as well as the MMA coverage. So all that and more. If you enjoyed the pod, and especially if you're here at this point in the video, hit that subscribe button for me. Come check out the podcast next week. I'm sure EDJ will return next week. So we haven't hammered out any details. I'm kind of doing this spontaneously on a Wednesday afternoon, recording this one. But anyways, let me stop rambling. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button, because you obviously enjoyed the video. You're still here at the very end of it. You listening to me ramble for at least a half hour. And we will be back next week. I appreciate you guys.